Case 1. Brandon Swanson, the man who vanished while on the phone. On May 14, 2008, Brandon Swanson, a 19-year-old college student from Minnesota, was driving home from a party. It was late, past midnight, and he'd taken a backroad shortcut to get home. But somewhere along that dark gravel road, he lost control and landed his car in a ditch. The vehicle wasn't damaged. Brandon wasn't hurt. He was just stuck. So he did what anyone would do. He called his parents. He told them he was near the town of Lind and asked them to pick him up. He sounded completely calm. They agreed, got in the car, and drove to the spot he described. But when they arrived, Brandon wasn't there. They called him back and stayed on the phone with him for 47 minutes. Asterisk asterisk. He said he saw lights in the distance. Said he was going to walk toward them. His dad tried to keep him on the line, guiding him. But Brandon started to sound confused. He was confident about where he was, but nothing matched up. Then came the last words anyone ever heard him say. He suddenly exclaimed, "Oh, sh*t," and the line went dead. That was it. No follow-up call. No sound of struggle. Just silence. The next morning, his abandoned car was found exactly where he said it would be, near Lind. But police quickly discovered Brandon hadn't been walking toward Lind. He was actually near a town called Porter, nearly 30 miles away from where he believed he was. They tracked his footprints using dogs. They followed them for nearly a mile, through fields, down gravel roads, and toward a creek. Then the prints just stopped. No sign of a struggle. No blood. No body. No phone. Just empty grass. Cadaver dogs searched for weeks. Helicopters scanned the area. Nothing was ever found. Some believe he fell into the Yellow Medicine River and drowned. That stretch of the river was thoroughly searched, and his body never surfaced. Others think he may have been abducted, or died from exposure in some hidden place. Or maybe he was never there at all. The most terrifying part, he disappeared while on the phone, mid-conversation, in real time, and no one, not even his parents listening in, heard anything. But as bizarre as this disappearance is, it's far from the only one that still leaves investigators and families desperate for answers. Case 2. The Jamison family. A whole family just left. In October 2009, Bobby and Sherilyn Jamison packed up their white pickup truck in Eufaula, Oklahoma. With them was their 6-year-old daughter, Madison. They told no one exactly where they were going, just that they were heading to look at a piece of land in a remote area of the San Bois Mountains. They were never seen alive again. Several days later, their truck was found abandoned on a dirt road. Inside the truck were their wallets, cell phones, Sherilyn's purse, and their dog, barely clinging to life from starvation. There were no signs of struggle, no blood. Even stranger, under the seat was a bag containing over $30,000 in cash. Why would a middle-class family carry that much money to a land viewing? Where did it come from? Their behavior before leaving raised eyebrows. Security footage from their home showed them going back and forth to the truck like zombies, moving in a trance-like state, barely speaking, never interacting. Some believed they were high. Others thought it looked like they were under some kind of spell. Sherilyn had once claimed the house was haunted. She believed they were being tormented by spirits. She even wrote bizarre notes to herself, found later in the truck. And then, silence. For years, the search covered miles of forest, cadaver dogs, drones, search parties, nothing. Then, in 2013, 4 years later, hunters stumbled upon 3 skeletons in the woods, just 3 miles from the truck. They were later confirmed to be the Jamison family. Bodies were so decomposed, no cause of death could be determined. There were no signs of trauma, no murder weapons, no clear explanation. They had been lying there, in the open, for years, missed by every search team, and no one knows how they died. Some theories include cult activity, murder-suicide, drug deals gone wrong, or even paranormal interference. But no one can explain the money, the trance-like video footage, or how 3 people could die side by side in the forest without a single mark. And just when you think you've heard the strangest disappearance story, the next case might be even more unsettling. Case 3. The Sodder children. The Christmas fire that erased 5 kids. It was Christmas Eve, 1945, in Fayetteville, West Virginia. The Sodder family, immigrants from Italy, were celebrating together in their home. George and Jenny Sodder lived there with their 9 children. That night, only 4 of the kids would make it out alive. At around 1 a.m., a fire erupted in the house. George, Jenny, and 4 of the children escaped, but 5 were never seen again. The official story said the children died in the fire, but that's where things start to unravel. First, no remains were ever found. Not a single bone, not a tooth. Experts said the fire wasn't hot enough to completely destroy bodies. Second, the phone line had been cut, deliberately. A strange woman had called just before the fire, asking for someone who didn't live there. And a man was seen stealing block and tackle equipment from the Sodder property that same night. Neighbors reported seeing the missing children in a car driving away from the house. Later, a woman claimed she saw them at a hotel the next morning, alive, but silent. The Sodders believed the fire was set to cover up a kidnapping. They spent years chasing leads. They bought a billboard on the highway showing the children's faces and offering a reward. In 1968, over 20 years later, they received a mysterious photograph in the mail. It showed a man in his 20s, who resembled one of the missing sons. Written on the back were bizarre phrases, and a location in Kentucky. But when George traveled there, he found nothing. The family never found answers. Theories range from mafia retaliation to child trafficking. To this day, no one knows what really happened. Were the children burned beyond recognition, taken and hidden for reasons no one could understand? Just when you think this case couldn't get stranger, the next disappearance takes you to the middle of the ocean, where the entire crew of a ship simply vanished. Case 4. The Mary Celeste. a ship with no soul left on board. In 1872, a merchant ship named the Mary Celeste was found adrift in the Atlantic Ocean. The ship was completely intact, its cargo untouched, its sails still up, and yet not a single person was on board. The captain, his wife, their young daughter, and a crew of 7 had vanished. No signs of struggle, no blood, no damage to the ship, just meals left half-eaten, and a logbook that ended mid-sentence. The last log entry gave no clue. It simply recorded calm seas and a normal day of sailing. Everything about the ship seemed fine. Even the lifeboat was missing, but the sea had been calm. Why would an experienced captain abandon ship in good weather? There was no sign of a storm, no pirates, no evidence of a mutiny. Some speculated about sea monsters or alien abduction. Others suggested the crew panicked due to alcohol fumes from the cargo, which contained industrial-grade alcohol, but the barrels were intact, and no toxic leaks were found. Years later, fictionalized stories turned the Mary Celeste into a ghost ship legend, but the original mystery remains unsolved. No bodies were ever recovered. No personal belongings were missing. No one from that voyage was ever seen again. The ship itself was towed back to port and later destroyed in a wreck. But the legend has lived on for more than 150 years. An entire crew, gone without a trace, in broad daylight, on calm waters. And just like that, the sea swallowed its secret. The most disturbing disappearances aren't always ancient legends. Sometimes, they happen in modern times, and the clues are even scarier. Case 5. Lars Mittank, the tourist who ran into the unknown. In 2014, 28-year-old German tourist Lars Mittank was vacationing in Bulgaria with friends. He was a normal guy, chill, athletic, working a steady job. But one night, he got into a fight at a bar over football team loyalties. He injured his ear and was prescribed antibiotics. What happened next turned his story into one of the internet's most chilling mysteries. His friends left as planned, but Lars stayed behind to recover. He checked into a cheap hotel near the airport, and that's when everything changed. He called his mother in a panic, whispering that people were trying to kill him. He said he was hiding. He told her to cancel his credit cards. The next morning, he went to the airport for his flight, but never boarded. Security footage shows him calmly entering the airport clinic, but minutes later, something snapped. He bolted out of the room, leaving his bags and passport behind. Then came the footage seen around the world. Lars sprinting full speed out of the airport. He ran across the parking lot, climbed over a barbed wire fence, disappeared into the forest, and that was it. He was never seen again. His disappearance sparked dozens of theories. Was it a mental breakdown caused by medication? Was he being followed? Some claim he was targeted for organ trafficking. Others think he witnessed something he wasn't supposed to. His body was never found. His phone never turned back on. No activity on his bank accounts. It was like he ran into another dimension. What makes it so haunting is the footage. You can see the exact moment. The fear takes over, and then he's gone. But the last case on our list may be even darker, because it doesn't involve just one person. It involves an entire civilization, erased from history. Case 6. The Lost Colony of Roanoke. 115 people who vanished. In 1587, a group of 115 English settlers landed on Roanoke Island, off the coast of modern-day North Carolina. They were the first attempt at a permanent English colony in the New World. Led by John White, they began building homes, farming, and trying to survive. After some time, John White sailed back to England to gather supplies, but his return was delayed by war. 3 years passed before he finally made it back to Roanoke. When he arrived, the settlement was gone. Completely. No people, no bodies, no signs of struggle, just emptiness. The only clue was a single word carved into a post. Croatoan. No one knew what it meant. Was it a location, a warning, a name? White searched nearby Croatoan Island, but found nothing. No graves, no clues, no trace of the settlers. Some believe the colony was attacked by hostile tribes. Others think they joined local Native Americans and assimilated. A few suggest they tried to sail back to England and were lost at sea, but there's no proof for any theory. The fate of the Roanoke colony remains one of America's oldest unsolved mysteries. How can 115 men, women, and children vanish without a single trace? No journals, no remains, no artifacts. Even today, with modern archaeology and DNA analysis, the mystery endures. Generations later, we're still asking, what happened to Roanoke? And maybe that's the scariest part of all, that even entire communities can disappear, leaving behind nothing but a word. Croatoan. If these disappearances shook you even a little, imagine how many more are still unsolved, waiting in the dark. If you're drawn to the unexplained like we are, subscribe, like, and leave a comment with the mystery that haunts you most. There's always another case, and it might be closer than you think.